Outstanding Service Award recipient. This, when I thought about putting together how I'm going to introduce this individual, it became pretty hard for me to come up with the words because all of us have heard so many great things about him. And there's nothing more that I can really say that's going to be any different than what he's already done and he's already proven. His track record has already shown his support for the LGBT community. And we're very, very honored that as a board member of the DC Center, my name is Ashley Smith, I'm sorry I didn't introduce that myself earlier. It has been great to work with this gentleman. For my last 7 years, and I've lived up and down the East Coast, I've been in the DC area. And I've been able to see Honorable Vincent Gray in many ways, many different things. And it's touched my heart because my story is I came out when I came to DC. All right, I had not come out before that time, and I'm in my late 30s now. God, it's hard to believe that. And Mayor Gray really set the platform for many of us to come to the city, to want to be a part of the city because he's been a leader, he's been a trooper out there always making it possible for us to be free, to be able to be married in this place. There's not too many other cities that you have a mayor who's out there who's supportive as he has been. And you do that. We don't really truly understand what we have. We truly don't understand what we have. And Mayor Gray has set the platform for so many other cities across this country. And yes, we will get statehood, okay? So I know that Mayor Gray is all about trying to take care of our community as well as the entire community here in Washington, D.C. And he's come up against a lot of things. But we're very supportive and we're very happy that he's been supportive of our relocation as well. And we're very thankful that you have continued to be out there preaching and doing the things that you needed to do to make a pathway for us and for us to be citizens of your city, and we're very honored to be citizens of your city. So Mayor Gray, if you would please join me. For the LGBT community and the DC Center. I'm very honored to be able to present this to you today. So thank you, and we will be supporting you no matter whatever happens. We will continue to support you for everything that you do. Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you very much, Ashley, and thank you to the DC Center and David Marin, and thank you very much for your leadership. And thank you to everyone. You know, it's nice to get an award for doing the right thing. And this was the right thing to do. I am proud to be an advocate for the LGBTQ community. We've done a number of things. We've still got a great deal of work to do. I'm also glad to be here with my dear friend Pat Hawkins tonight. Pat and I have been friends for a very, very long time. That's exactly right. We're going to put the numbers of years on those and we'll with that. But you know, one of the things that was so important to me and I was proud to be a part of was when we, in December of 2009, we passed the legislation that approved marriage equality. I was proud to be the chair of the council at the time. I was proud that the District of Columbia was in the forefront and that we didn't have to be dragged along, yelling and screaming. We didn't have to be the last in line. We didn't have to be one of those that had to make apologies for why we didn't do this earlier. And I well remember, some of you will remember some of the discussions that went on during that legislative session. You know, there were people, I was reminded of it the other day, to be honest with you, people out there in the hall yelling and screaming, and you would have thought the world was coming to an end. You know, and I had to remind people, I said, let me tell you something. I said, you think you're going to influence me with that kind of behavior? You must be out of your damn mind. I'm not changing anything. And there were some members of the clergy who, you know, had been supporters and friends, quote unquote, prior to that, who promised me that they would never, they would never support me, they would never speak to me again. And my answer was, let me make this perfectly clear, I don't give a damn whether you ever support me again or not. This is the right thing to do. And by the way, they've been true to their word, because every time I see them, all I get is all I get is a scowl and a negative word. But you know what? Those aren't real friends, are they? Those aren't people that care about human beings. Those aren't the people who really care about human rights in this nation. And frankly, if that's their beliefs, then I really do not give a damn about that, because I care about everybody being able to live in a city that truly practices its philosophy, its principles, and stands up for what is right. And that's what I will continue to do. We stood up for what was right on marriage equality. We stood up for what was right on the bullying policy that we approved in the District of Columbia. We stood up for what was right in trying to work with the U.S. Attorney's Office to create the opportunity for community impact statements. We stood up for what was right on the Deani Parker Jones legislation that has now created an opportunity for those who would like to have their birth certificate reflect who they really are, to be able to do that. We at the same time we signed that bill, we also signed a bill that expanded the number of people, the people who could be a marriage officiant. Efficient. Yeah, I can be a marriage officiant now, y'all. And I would invite you, it'll probably be like the first week in November when the bill becomes law, because we have to send our laws, unlike anybody else in the nation, we have to send our legislation up to Capitol Hill to be approved by people who probably couldn't give a hoot about the District of Columbia's laws. But we have to go through that degrading experience time after time after time to get our laws passed. That bill should have been law the moment I signed it, but it had to go to Capitol Hill to be approved. But it'll be sometime in early November when it becomes law. And I can't wait to perform my first marriage as now a marriage officiant. And I have to tell you, the first marriage I want to perform is a same-sex marriage. If there's anybody in here that would like to volunteer to be the first, let me know. I'll be there. We can do it in my office if you like. Wouldn't it be great to do it in the Wilson Building? That should be the place where we do it. And we still have a lot of work ahead of us. We still have a lot of attitudes and minds to change. But frankly, the change in mind and attitudes starts at the top. And when you have people in these positions who are prepared to be supportive of doing the right thing, it's amazing what you can do. It's great to see what Maryland has now done, and it was even greater to say, we already were there, y'all. We were there first before you all. And frankly, I think you're going to see other things happen too, like with the birth certificate changes that we've made. And I'm looking at Ruby here because one of the things that we've done is really worked hard to try to change attitudes and change outcomes for our transgender population in the District of Columbia. I count Ruby Corrado as a friend. I've worked with Ruby now for a year and a half. Almost 2 years, Ruby, on creating training opportunities for people who are transgender in the District of Columbia to help get our transgender population jobs, because we know that so many of our transgender people turn to, sexual businesses, for want of a better way of putting it, in order to be able to survive. And we need to stop that because we have a lot of people who are talented, and we need to make sure those doors are open to employment in the District of Columbia. Again, Ashley, I thank you for such very kind words. I will continue to do that. David, I thank you for being such a great advocate yourself. One of the things that we are working on, of course, is that working with the center, we were able to get them into the Reeves Center, and And I want to make something absolutely clear. Yes, the Reeves Center will probably be moving, you know, in 2 or 3 years or whatever, over to the other side of the river. But there will be a place for the DC Center. You don't have to worry about that. There will be a place for the DC Center. I told the city administrator, you know, as we were getting ready to announce the soccer stadium, I said, I want you to get the people from the DC Center in and make sure they understand that we are their friends, that we are going to do what is necessary to make sure that the DC Center has a home. So while this may be, quote unquote, a temporary home in this building, you all will have a permanent home that we will make sure it happens. So the DC Center doesn't have to worry about having a permanent home. It's just a question of where it may be. In fact, it may be right here on U Street, because I've already thrown out some possibilities of where you can be. So I didn't mean to talk this long, but I couldn't help it, okay? Let me finish where I started. You cannot imagine how good it feels to do the right thing. Thank you all very much.